Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and give us about 30 seconds before we start. Awesome. Well, hello, good morning or afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, The Strategic Project Manager, presented by the Director of Leadership Training, Andrea Brockmeyer. We are in Zoom for today's session, and we will be sharing a copy of this recording with you in an email after the webinar. We do encourage participation throughout the webinar, so please use the chat or the Q&A option for our short Q&A after the presentation. Educate 360 is so excited to present this webinar today, so without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, Andrea.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. My word, welcome to the fourth quarter of 2024. So I know there are folks who say that time isn't actually going faster, but I don't know. It's pretty unbelievable that here we are in October already. So thank you so much for spending your time today with us to talk about strategic project management. So projects, what are projects? How do we think about projects? So for a long time, we thought about projects as how organizations adapt to change. Because everything else by definition is same old, right? Ops, maintenance, so support, and that kind of thing. Projects are not that. They are introducing something new. So they're how organizations adapt to change. I mean, it's not that it's not true, but there's a little bit of a dated feel to that perspective. Now you hear a lot more about projects as vehicles for executing organizational strategy. And that really speaks to the idea that project managers need to be and are increasingly expected to be strategic thinkers. Long gone are the days where we are just handed a project and expected to go deliver it. We've really evolved and matured out of that order taking role. And we really need to be those leaders that are clear about and understand the organizational strategy in order to make sure that those projects are delivering on that. So what does it mean to be a strategic thinker? What is strategic thinking? The ability to see patterns and make links, even when there is a lot of detail, and to see the big picture. So that idea that you can wade through the minutia and see those patterns, make connections between different pieces, whether that's maybe different processes, whether that's different outcomes or outputs, that might be patterns in how people do things, how they communicate. It could be any number of things in an organization, and that ability to see patterns is really key. It's a more systemic and holistic view of your environment. So project managers, we are easily drawn into the details of getting the project done, right? You've got the schedule, the budget, you've got all of the scope, and all of we think about those assets, those project assets that we have to get things done. And it's easy to get drawn into the details around that. But what we need to do in order to be a strategic thinker is pull back and have that holistic systemic view of not just the project, but the larger business and organizational context. And then strategic thinking is finding and developing unique opportunities that create value through challenging and creative dialogue. So not just finding, but developing unique opportunities that create value. The project can be managed in a variety of different ways. And what worked last month may not be the best way to do it this month. So there's that idea that we need to be always thinking about, okay, this project, we could manage it the way we did last time, the way we did last month, the way we did last week. Is that still working for us? So there's the idea of tactical and strategic thinking, okay? So what is the difference between tactical and strategic thinking? So tactical thinking is really more about management. It's focusing on how we get things done, right? We say managing is about doing things right. We think of checklists. Making sure that our project gets delivered per the expectations, right? It's very focused on current state. Okay, so we're really that tactical stuff, what's right in front of me, what am I going to do, or what am I going to have somebody else do to get that done? As opposed to strategic thinking. Strategic thinking is more about alignment, or what business relationship managers call convergence. The idea that what we're doing on this project needs to be aligned with what the organization is trying to achieve. It's not just enough to deliver project success, for example, whatever that might mean, if it's not aligned with, converged with, and meeting the larger business need. It's focused on the why. Thinking is focused on the why. Always asking, why are we doing this? Why is that the better option? Why are we not doing this? Always thinking about the reasoning, the rationale, the value proposition of what it is that we're doing or could do. And strategic thinking is future oriented. It's looking out ahead. Where is it that we want to be? And what does that look like? And then and then the management is how we get there. So which is better? And go ahead and send anything in chat, anything you want, just keep yourself focused. Which one is better? They're both good. This isn't an either or kind of thing. You need both, absolutely. Oh, no audio. Absolutely, we need both. And so there are times when we need to be tactical. Certainly project managers need to be that. But there are times that we also need to be strategic. And I always think it's helpful to imagine that wherever you are in whatever organization you're in, imagine if it were your organization. Imagine if you're the one writing the checks. Wouldn't you want your PMs to be strategic as well as tactical? I mean, to be sure, we want things to get done, but I want somebody who's making sure that they have their finger on the pulse of what the organization is trying to achieve, that they're asking the question why, that they are future oriented, right? So we need to be both. Now, when we're new in our career, we probably weigh heavily on the tactical. We probably don't have as much strategic. Those of you that maybe have been doing this a while, that starts to balance out a little more. And if you're really seasoned and experienced, you probably weigh quite heavily on the strategic. Again, we don't want to be, it's not a zero-sum kind of thing. We're doing both, but that balance is going to shift as we get experience. So just for fun, let's do a little poll here. And I'm going to put this up. There we go. How much of your time overall would you say is spent on strategic or tactical tasks or efforts? What do you think? And just overall, I know some days maybe feel heavily tactical, some maybe feel heavily strategic. Great. Folks are weighing in there on the poll. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Of course, this is anonymous. Not that it matters, but a few
Awesome.
more.
I'll give us about 5 more seconds and I'll go ahead and share the results.
Awesome. Great. Fantastic. So lots of tactical. Okay, so almost half of you are heavily tactical there. A few strategic, and a good number, about 50-50. Awesome. An interesting question, actually, now that I think about it, would be how many of you feel like your early career, mid-career, later career, But yeah, and good. It's all good. It's all good, right? All right. Okay. Yes, definitely. Need both for sure. So, strategic thinkers, what are they? How do you recognize a strategic thinker? If somebody said, think of a strategic thinker, what do you see them doing? Or if somebody said, oh, that's a strategic thinker. What are some of the things that you might hear or see from them? And this image here, some of you may see pieces of almost look like chess pieces, or you may see um, pillars of some kind. Some of you may see an individual looking sort of down, images of an individual, a silhouette of an individual looking down, facing each other. Just the idea that people can see different things, have different perspectives. But strategic thinkers initiate, right? One of the things about strategic thinkers is they are not the kind of folks who just come in every day, kind of slide in under the radar and leave. They're people who are going to make things happen. They're going to suggest new ideas. They're going to raise their hand and say, hey, what about this? Why don't we try this? They're going to be innovators. Yeah, where others are playing checkers. The strategic thinkers play chess where others are playing checkers. Yeah, have a vision and how it will work, right? Right, they've got that vision, that innovation, totally. And how many organizations say they need people who are innovative? I mean, innovation is like the heartbeat of organizations these days. We got to stay out in front of our customers, right? Stay out, meet them, get them something they don't even know they need yet, right? Just stay competitive. They're inquiring. They ask a lot of questions. Again, they're not just going to settle for what is. They're going to ask questions. They're going to challenge the status quo. Hey, things don't have to be that way, right? Yeah, and that's a great point, Elizabeth. Companies are fearful of these kinds of people. They're the folks that uncover alternatives more than one way. Why is there fear associated with strategic thinking? That's actually a really interesting point. Well, if you've got somebody who's initiating and innovating and inquiring and challenging and uncovering alternatives, you're making waves. Absolutely. You are going to, remember the status quo serves the purpose, serves the interests of a lot of people. Yes, exactly. And strategic thinking is not necessarily going to support existing KPIs, right? Yeah, we measure things and then we look for things that move those numbers. Strategic thinkers are saying, well, maybe maybe we should measure something different. Well, think about all of the things in your organization that support your KPIs, right? So absolutely, those are great points, great points. So a couple of tips. First thing is to get over yourself. I don't know if you remember the scene in Star Wars when Luke and Yoda are in the woods and there's a cave that they run into that they see. And Luke's looking in the cave and he says, what's in there? And Yoda's response was, only what you take with you. And so Luke straps on his lightsaber or his weapon and he goes in. And of course, the point was that he will find whatever he expects to find, right? And the suggestion he put on his weapon, he was fearful. He was afraid, he was expecting something bad, and that's what he's going to find, right? It was a metaphor for lots of things. Um, well, to be a strategic thinker, you need to let yourself kind of go. You need to just get over yourself. We every day come in and set expectations for what we're going to encounter, how conversations are going to go, what we're going to see, what we're going to hear, how we're going to respond, how other people are going to respond. We need to liberate ourselves from that so that we can not just see what it is that we think we're going to encounter, not just hear what we think we're going to hear, right? So you can check out that scene online. It's a great scene. And once you take a look at it, you can imagine yourself standing in front of the cave. Maybe you go in just expecting to find something beautiful, right? Second tip is to be curious. Be curious. I think it was Stephen Hawking who used to say, be curious or stay curious, I think is maybe what he said. But, be questioning, not in a cynical sort of way, but look for things that invalidate what you believe to be true. Challenge your own assumptions. And I love this quote from Twain: "It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you do know that just ain't so." That's that resonates, I think, with a lot of people. It resonates with me. That's always been true. Of course, Mark Twain was a long time ago, but certainly it's true these days. We surround ourselves with data that supports what we already believe to be true. Confirmation bias is enhanced by technology that feeds us information and data that they figure out how we already think. They figure out what we already believe. A lot invested in monitoring what you do and things that you search for, things that you purchase, things that you look at, so that they can continue to feed you those things, right? It's hard to do this. It is hard to look for data that invalidates our beliefs, because the way we believe is comfortable. The world makes sense as I see it. Why would I want to, mess with that? It's hard work to do that. But to be strategic, you need to be willing to do that. That takes some courage. And then seek out other perspectives, and don't just seek them out, but actually listen to them. Listening is such a precious skill. It is a skill that is hard. It is a skill that we are challenged with every single day. It is a skill that, if you really think about it, a lot of people don't do well. I had a phone conversation this weekend with a friend that is a great friend. Um, love talking to him, but not a great listener. You know, so really challenge yourself to listen to other perspectives, even when your inclination is to think about how you're going to respond. Just listen. And then see the big picture. Look for those patterns. Take a step back, maybe even literally if it helps you. Use anything that can help you see beyond the boundaries of your project, that can see beyond the boundaries of your area, your function, your division, maybe even beyond the boundaries of your organization. What's the larger competitive environment that you're in? And embrace a growth mindset. Again, business relationship managers talk a lot about a growth mindset. You can think about a fixed or a growth mindset. And as you think about this, maybe you really identify with one of these, or you might know people who are very much a fixed mindset kind of person, or a growth mindset kind of person. So instead of a fixed mindset, which is something somebody with a fixed mindset might say, I know about A, B, and C, and that's pretty much it. A growth mindset person would say, well, I know about A, B, and C and would love to learn about D, E, and F. A fixed mindset person will say, I'll take on this project because I've done it before, this type of project before. A growth mindset person will say, I'll see how I can get involved in a new type of project I haven't done before. Instead of saying, I don't really have anything to add to this discussion, have a growth mindset. This is new to me, so I'm not really sure, but what about this idea? Or a fixed mindset person would say, I'm not going to be of much value to that new team because really I'm not very creative. A growth mindset person will say, I'm going to participate on that new team to develop my creativity skill set. I'm really going to push myself to try to be more creative. So those are just examples of trying to catch yourself when you're kind of shutting the door on your mindset, and not to be a fixed mindset kind of person, but really to think about having a growth mindset. So one of the things that we can do as project managers is to be strategic. Means to not just have a perspective or look beyond the boundaries of our function or our area or our division or even organization, but think beyond the boundaries of our skill set as project managers. To be a strategic project manager doesn't mean just getting better at project management per se. But think about some of the other skills that you can develop that help you as a project manager, some of those adjacent skills, some of those skills and uh, things that people use and do as part of maybe our project team and our project environment. But how can I really expand what I bring to the project as a project manager? Business analysis is some very low-hanging fruit for most project managers. First of all, most project managers are already doing business analysis, whether they recognize it or call it BA or not. It is almost inevitable for project managers to be doing some business analysis. If you're wondering, well, I think I do that, I'm not really sure. Well, maybe spend a little time becoming more familiar and more certain about what business analysis is and whether or not you do it. BAs are caretakers or custodians of the product. Project managers are caretakers or custodian of the project, the work of getting it done. Learn a little bit about business analysis. That will help you utilize those skills in a more strategic way. And I've done a whole separate webinar on that. But that's a great opportunity. Also, even if you have a BA on your projects, you'll be a lot more effective as a project manager if you really understand a little bit more about what they do. Just like when your team members understand project management a little bit, they're more effective as team members, same kind of thing. One of the things that is part of the BA's realm of activities is development of the business case. And as you know, project managers, that is an input into the charter. And the project managers this is not a project document, but project managers are expected to understand the business case. So whether you are actually constructing it or not, you need to know what the business case is. Have a little more familiarity and confidence about what goes into constructing a business case. This is a justification of the project. This is answering that why. Everybody needs to know what the business case is all about. Everybody, project managers need to know it. Team members need to know it. This should not be a secret document hidden in the depths of the leadership's convoluted filing system. This should be something that's out there for everybody. We need to know so that we can be strategic about how we manage the resources on the project to deliver on that justification, to make sure at the end that we've actually delivered the value that we set out to develop. The other thing is, the strategic project manager and organizational change management. It's interesting. I've had a number of conversations with clients in the last few months. This keeps coming up, this idea that, well, our project managers are the change management initiative as well. They're managing the organizational change. Well, and that's also probably very true. Because projects introduce change, projects are how organizations adapt to change. The project manager often gets pegged as the person to shepherd the organization through the change that's being introduced. But here's the thing, organizational change management is not the same as project management. Project management is making sure that the team is able to deliver and is delivering the product, what it is that the project is setting out to create. Organizational change management is the people side of change. It's when the people are saying this process doesn't make any sense anymore. Why did they move that? Why did they change that? That's getting through all of the resistance to change, all of the politicking that goes on, all of the frustration and the blame storming and the things that can happen when organizational change management isn't well managed, it isn't well handled. It is an entirely different skill set. Now, some organizations have a change management function. But if you're the project manager and you don't, or even if you do, again, understanding where project management and organizational change management, where they're the same, where they're different, how do they complement each other, gives you more confidence doing those things when you understand what it is and how it's different from project management. And if you already have a change management function, it makes you a better partner because you understand what is being expected of them, and you can be a more effective change advocate. Now, the other thing that isn't necessarily a skill set per se, but organizational culture, strategic project managers, strategic anybody, is somebody who is steeped in the organizational culture, who embraces it, who seeks to understand it, who is an active participant in it. Strategic people, think of somebody you know that's really strategic. These aren't people that are off on the sidelines, sort of observing what's going on. They're jumping in. They connect with others. Strategic, really great strategic people are positive. They're not, pissing and moaning and complaining and pointing fingers. They acknowledge the challenges, but they're positive. They're change agents. They're someone that people go to understand the why and to maybe to vent a little bit, but to get some encouragement to move through. And they're people who acknowledge small wins, right? That's got to be what it's about, because a lot of the things that we're doing, that we're dealing with on our projects are big wheels to turn. It's a lot to turn. Can't wait till that's all over before you acknowledge wins. Acknowledge small wins along the way. Engage, get in there, participate. The other one that I want to comment on may seem kind of like a stretch, but modeling and diagramming is really helpful. This is something I think BAs do more willingly than project managers, but we do a lot of it. If you think about a work breakdown structure, these are things that, it's a project management document, but things like process flows of various kinds, or even affinity diagramming. Being strategic is partly about helping move people along, helping people get on the same page, keeping people moving forward and aligned. And most people, in fact, are visual. And I think that project managers are not always as comfortable using visualization tools, which can be so compelling in terms of helping people understand something. And I always tell my students, don't worry about it being right. Just get some sticky notes, virtual or live, and start moving stuff around. Gives people something to move and hang on to. It helps facilitate the conversation. So as a strategic project manager, present yourself as such. Use the language of strategic thinking. Communicate about how projects are delivering on organizational strategy. Think about how you talk about your project. For example, my project is 2 weeks ahead of schedule and on budget. For sure, you're going to get a golf clap on that. People are going to, that's not bad news. That's good news. Yay. But what if instead, or maybe in addition to, you said, we expect to start seeing customer satisfaction scores improving 2 weeks sooner than planned? I'd suggest you're probably going to get a more enthusiastic response to that. Now, that requires understanding what the objective of the project was, what the business case was all about. That's what people are looking for. That's meaningful. That's of value. The fact that your project is 2 weeks ahead of schedule and on budget, in and of itself, doesn't have any value. The fact that your customer satisfaction scores are going up, that's the value proposition. Think about how you communicate that. So the benefits of strategic thinking, again, think of yourself, it's my organization. How do I want my project managers' heads to work? How do I want them to think? And I want them to be strategic. That's how you are able to be agile as an organization. And I'm not talking about whether you're working on scrum teams and things like that, but how do you make change when the market changes? Well, if everybody's got their mind, at least in part, on strategy, that's it. You don't have to go through the effort of making the case and explaining. People are just thinking that way. People are going to be more engaged when they understand the why. That is absolutely, when people understand the reason, that is how they engage. They want to be a part of that. And people are going to be more willing to step up and own it, right? Why do they want to be a part? Because they understand the why, and they will want to see themselves as part of that. So all of these things can contribute to being a strategic project manager, getting outside of our PM world and thinking about expanding ourselves professionally. Projects are, after all, vehicles for executing organizational strategy. So a couple things you can do to help yourself evolve as a strategic project manager. Find a partner to support your development. Find somebody, a mentor or a colleague or somebody to, talk about it. Find them to help support you. Ask to be involved sooner. Get out of that order taker role. If you're the kind of project manager who people are coming to you and say, yeah, we're going to do this project here, go manage it. Ask them, say, you know what, could I be involved sooner? Could I hear some of the discussions about why this is being done? Could I participate or at least listen to the business case as it's being put together? Show small wins to make your case. Show when you've been able to get involved sooner, how that benefited you as a project manager. I was able to make better strategic decisions for the project, for example. Answer the why for your decision makers. My project is early, but hey, we're getting this benefit sooner. And then muster the courage to be a strategic thinker. You're talking about getting out of your comfort zone, perhaps. Maybe you're getting out of the comfort zone that people have put you in for themselves. Somebody said there's fear if we're going to ask questions like why and challenge the status quo. But there's benefit of it for everybody, and organizations aren't going to win by keeping everybody in a little teeny tiny box, including their project managers. So make your own case for you as a strategic project manager and the value of that for your organization. And your commitment to develop your strategic thinking skills, that's going to be a win for your projects. It's going to be a win for your organization, and it's certainly going to be a win for you. Present opportunities for doing more than just executing an idea that somebody's already come up with. So we would love to help you develop your strategic skills. We've got all sorts of things that we can do to help you with that, in addition to your other support around you. Here are some of the classes we have coming up that all have a strategic angle to them, and we'd love to see you in class. So these are just examples of some of the many, many dates that we have out there and other classes. So thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate I'm a couple minutes over. I appreciate you joining. And thanks for taking your time today. Happy to entertain any questions or thoughts anybody's got. Have a great rest of your week.
Absolutely. I will give our audience a little sec just to throw any last minute questions if they have them. But if anyone needs any more information on this topic, please do not be afraid to visit us at projectmanagementacademy.net. And if you missed out on any part of this session, we will be sharing a recording with all of you in an email after the webinar. I believe that covers it. Just a lot of thank yous and really insightful stuff about strategic management. Really appreciate your time and all this really fantastic info, Andrea.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
Alrighty, everyone. Well, thanks again for joining us and enjoy the rest of your week. And we will see you all very soon. Bye now.
Bye-bye.